Okay, hello everybody one more time. Steve May here, talking about, I suppose, what we would call psychological tools. We're putting a bunch up on our website, stephen-may.com, Stephen spelled Stephen. Please go and have a look. I'm here with Sydney Milanese, who's not getting a word in edgeways so far. You could maybe hear a tiny little cackle in the background there. But we're going to talk about now apologies. My goodness, is this a big thing in our life, or the lack of them? And I was just asking Sydney, who's still at college at the moment, does she get any formal classes in these things? And she said no. And it's not a great surprise because our educational system is completely bonkers here and in the US. But apologies are a potent, I don't know what you'd call them. I don't even think of them as a tool. They are an extraordinary portal to better relationships. And when they don't appear, oh my goodness, does it cause a problem? And some people have unbelievable problems with apologizing. And let's look at why. In very simple terms, the greater degree of shame someone feels about themselves, and this tends to go back to very, very early stages of their life, early childhood trauma, feelings of abandonment, neglect, a lack of worth. The greater the shame that that individual feels, they will not acknowledge it to themselves, of course, the harder it is for them to admit that they are wrong about anything, even tiny things. Because, unlike people who have a stronger sense of self-esteem, if they were to admit that they've made a mistake, it means that they are not only poor in their behavior, that they are bad, that they as an individual are actually at fault. And that is a terrible thing to admit, way, way too painful. And you may find that there are people in your life, or, dare I say it, it may even be you, who has a problem with apologizing. And I would recommend that you look into the psychology of this because it can improve your life dramatically. You could go to a site that I'm going to crib off in a second, perfectapology.com. There's a lot of decent information up there. And again, if you go to our website, there's some other resources that you can look at to the fascinating area of these particular dances that we get caught up in our most intimate relationships. And I'm sure I'm not speaking to anybody who has not got an acute memory of feeling that they're owed an apology and the profound resentment that they continue to feel because it never came. So now I'm going to speak to you about when you make an apology and look at good and bad ones, because most of us, and I include myself, are not exactly brilliant at this. We tend to put qualifiers in. We put words like but or if into our apologies to protect ourselves from the full responsibility of what we have done or said. So if you go to perfectapology.com, they split these things into science and art. The science is really, if you like, the formula, or what they describe as the formula for the ingredients that you tend to look at for a great apology. And they're these. There are 8 things: a detailed account of the situation, acknowledgement of the hurt or damage done, taking responsibility for the situation, recognition of your role in the event, and this is where it gets really interesting to me. Number 5, a statement of regret. So when you apologize, I think it's really, really important that we say, I am so sorry, I, I pledge never to do this again. I profoundly regret the pain that I caused you. And if you can detail what that pain is, you must feel so insulted and angry because of what I said to you. You will find that this, as I say, is kind of like a weird portal to better relationships. Number 6 on this particular site, perfectapology.com site, is something that I'm not sure I always agree with, but what they're saying is that you ask for forgiveness. I think there's a better way of doing it, and that is to say, I hope that one day you might forgive me. In other words, you don't say, I want you to forgive me. That's a demand that you have no right to make right now. I think if you're apologizing, this is not some kind of contractual obligation on their part, just because you're saying sorry, that they go, well, I forgive you. No. they should be allowed their time to decide whether they are going to forgive you, and you should have the generosity of spirit to give them that time. So I think to say, I hope that one day you might forgive me is giving people a lot of latitude. And just look at the degree of responsibility and grown-upness, if such a word exists, that you are exhibiting in that moment. Number 7, very important, a promise that it won't happen again. I think this is utterly crucial. How many times in your life have you given people a second and a third chance? Well, I have many, many times. And it's a weird one, because if someone betrays you in an acute way once, then yes, you might give them a second chance. Everybody deserves a second chance. But if they do it again, what the hell are we doing to give them a third? It's almost like giving someone permission just to trample on you. And we need to look at this. And once again, when we come to other podcasts, we'll look at this whole area of boundaries in a lot more detail. But at this stage, we're looking at apologies. Number 7, a promise that it won't happen again. And oh my God, you need to stick to that. And finally, number 8, a form of restitution whenever possible. In other words, you actively seek to make amends. I think this is a huge thing. I really do. I think if someone shows genuine remorse and actively puts energy to making amends, this is a wonderful form of love. And this is what I mean about this being, apologizing, being a portal to a better place. There's a peculiar way of looking at this, and that is when people make mistakes and they take full responsibility for them, our relationships with them can get to a better place than they have ever been. There's a weird irony. Is that the right way of putting it? I don't know. But there's a silver lining anyway to being human and to make mistakes. And that is, it's a road to greater intimacy. And this is why I'm so passionate about the art or the science of apologies, because it's a beautiful thing. And if you don't grasp the opportunity to do this stuff well, you just might be missing out on better relationships. So once again, we're talking about not exactly the perfect apology, no such thing exists, but you need to practice this stuff. You need to write down the ingredients of your apology before you make it. You need to avoid words like but and if enormously, because these are qualifiers that completely put a hole in the bottom of the ship. You must be resolute in the way you deliver your apologies, and I think you'll find them magic. I do a lot of work with movies, and I love to reference movies because it's a great way to see this stuff in action. And Lisa Cholodenko's movie, The Kids Are All Right, has a scene that illustrates this very well. If you haven't seen this film, go check it out. It's a great movie. There's a scene where Julianne Moore enters a living room to apologize to her partner, played by Annette Bening, and her 2 kids, because she's betrayed them. And she's betrayed them through an affair. She's cheated on her partner. And she enters this room. They're watching the telly. She clicks it off. She stands directly in front of them. And she delivers an apology. And it's pretty much perfect. Go check it out. The Kids Are All Right by Lisa Cholodenko. Script by Stuart Blomberg and Lisa Cholodenko. And they know this stuff. I can guarantee they know this stuff because they've delivered through that character and that particular scene a wonderful example of an adult taking full responsibility for her actions. And you should look at the aftermath of that scene. We run into the climactic sequence of that film. It's probably another 12, 15 minutes of film. And what we see, in effect, is the wonderful ripple that comes out of that apology. It's, I don't think I'm too much of a spoiler here to say that it ends rather well. What we see is forgiveness occurring pretty much as a direct consequence of that first step made by someone taking 100% responsibility for their own error. I hope this is useful to you, and I hope you'll join us again soon. Bye.